Brother Reggie, would you lead us into Lanaka?
Absolutely. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Vim. Ja. Ko. Z. Z. O. O. O.
Thank you, Brother Reggie. That definitely calmed the energies that we were having as a little bit chaotic. Sister Skye is going to lead us into Harmony of Three now.
Okay, so take your ka and start it spinning forward with your jaw. Spin them together in perfect sync. Ka jaw, forward. Perfect sync and harmony. Spin them backwards. Ka jaw. Clockwise, horizontal, clockwise. Ka jaw. Counterclockwise. Vertical, clockwise. Counterclockwise. Ka jaw in perfect sync and harmony together. Now add the Z. Z ka jaw. Spin them forward. Always into blurs of sparkling light. Spin them backwards. Horizontal clockwise. Z ka jaw. Counterclockwise. Vertical clockwise. Z ka jaw. Counterclockwise. Z ka jaw in perfect sync, in perfect harmony together.
Thank you. Do we have someone that we've
No,
called
we
upon
don't.
to say a
No.
prayer today? All right, then I'll say a prayer. Heavenly Mother and Heavenly Father, we love you so much. We're so grateful for the opportunity, despite our technical challenges, to have this wonderful technology available, that we all can meet in the same meeting at the same time, as if we're in the same room, even though we're all over the world. And it's wonderful, and we're grateful for it. We're grateful for each other and the love and support that we give each other as a family of light. And we pray that your Spirit would be with us mightily today, that we all would learn and grow, not just from what we hear, but from the opportunity to have association with one another. And these things we humbly ask in the name of our brother Yeshua, so be it.
So be it.
Okay.
Priesthoods.
All right. So today is our priesthood lesson. And there's three things. I don't know if everybody had a chance to look on the MeWe site about what I said I'd be talking about today. Three different topics. And I also want to encourage everyone, if you haven't been to the MeWe site on a regular basis that we have, we are pretty much transitioned into that site from Facebook, and it's really working great. It's very similar to Facebook, but without any ads or censoring. I'm really enjoying it there, and I'm actually going there more often myself now because I don't have to worry about ads or things I take all my time to write that they then censor. So, and it's not like I'm a radical or anything that they should be censoring me to begin with, but they are on Facebook. Okay, so I wanted to start by reiterating the importance of heeding the prophet's voice, which we published earlier this year. And as you've had the opportunity to contemplate the future that was talked about in multiple aspects in the prophet's voice, it's very important to remember that the future is not written in stone. There are multiple possible futures. And we as the priesthood, we can have a small but key effects on which path of the future is taken. And the larger a field we go, the less effect we can have because of our small numbers far away from each other. So for instance, if we were working, Sumara and Skye, myself, here in Ashland to affect something in Ashland, we could actually have a pretty big effect because it's a small area where we live. But if the three of us wanted to have the same effect in the whole state of Oregon, it's going to be a less noticeable effect because it's a much larger area that we're trying to affect. And it may not be able to be affected at all by us on that scale. And certainly on a worldwide scale, that becomes even more so. And that's then as we add more of our members in that are also working for the same purpose through the priesthood, the effects can be larger, but still we have to keep it in perspective of our small numbers and that we're separated over great distances. The amount that we can do when we're all together, even in small numbers, is considerably more. Something to remember is that because we may not be able to have effects in a magical or priesthood way on large things that are happening in the world, one of the purposes of the prophet's voice was to help you be prepared in temporal ways for things that might occur and that we were able to see are likely to occur. So I used to be in the Coast Guard when I was in my early 20s, and the motto of the Coast Guard is one worth remembering in our everyday lives. It should be all of our mottos. And it's Latin. It says Semper Paratus. Semper is S-E-M-P-E-R, and Paratus is P-A-R-A-T-U-S. And Semper Paratus means always ready or always prepared. And that's really the big purpose of the prophet's voice, is to help people be prepared for things that have a higher than normal likelihood of occurring. Now, at the very end of the prophet's voice, part 1, which I first sent out on January 2nd, I summed up 6 potential wars in the world in 2022 from nuclear-armed opponents. Now, we have wars in this world all the time. This is a warfaring planet where we have a lot of malcontents here that were sent here as spirit children. And so the longer you live in this world, the more you realize somewhere in this world, there's always a war going on. It's just the way this world is. But when the war in our modern era gets to be potentially between opponents that have nuclear weapons, that's a whole different story. Because in the past, for instance, if India and Pakistan got in a war with each other, they might kill lots of people in India and Pakistan, but it really wouldn't have any effect on anybody else in the rest of the world. Today, if India and Pakistan get in a war and they're both armed with nuclear weapons, even though the war itself may only take place in India and Pakistan, the effects of the nuclear exchange will likely affect all the world. Now, if you do it on a larger scale, like right now they have the war in Ukraine, that's an even bigger situation, because nuclear war there in the heart of Europe definitely would affect all the world, especially the world in the Northern Hemisphere. So this, again, is part of the prophet's voice. It's not saying there's going to be a nuclear war. Hopefully there will not be. But because there is a war, and the opponent and potential opponent, which would be NATO countries, are nuclear armed, it's something that the prophet's voice that says, hey, this is something that has a possibility of happening higher than normal at this time. Better be prepared in the ways that you can. So I just want to remind you, just again, this came out on, just to show you why the prophet's voice is a valid thing that you should listen to and heed and act upon. This is what I wrote and sent out to people on the January 2nd. This is a little one paragraph quote. It's talking about the potential war at that time between Russia and Ukraine and why that war was even going to be happening. And this is the quote. Driven by US and Europe failing to recognize Russia's security concerns and overacting on both sides when Russia takes what are perceived as expansionist actions, such as invading Ukraine, which will occur very likely in early 2022 if the U.S. and its allies do not agree to Russia's terms of security. And that's exactly what happened. So I don't need to talk about this anymore. I do want to, because we had a whole talk on it previously, but I do want to encourage you to re-listen and reread the prophet's voice. If you have the text of it, you can re-listen to it on the video on our sites, on YouTube. And there's a lot of gems for you there. And I'll just go on to the next thing. How many of you have ever played or heard of the game Light as a Feather, Stiff as a Board? Just raise your hand if you've heard of this game or played this game. Okay. Well, that's interesting. I would thought that, and maybe it's from a different generation. Our generation played it. Oh, Sumara, Skye said she never heard of it either. So, okay. All right. Well, Light as a Feather, Stiff as a Board is a really cool game that was played by children all over the world in different countries. And the concept is that one person, and imagine children, one child lies down on their back on the floor and keeps their body rigid. And then 5 to 6 other people or children kneel down beside them and around them on one knee, and they place their index finger under the body, and then they try to lift the person up. So basically 5 or 6 index fingers are trying to lift up this person. And they never succeed on the first time. They just can't do it. Nobody succeeds on the first time trying to do that. So now they do the next step, which is they begin to chant in unison while they still have their finger under the person, and they chant, light as a feather, stiff as a board, light as a feather, stiff as a board, light as a feather, stiff as a board. After several repetitions, they again try to lift the person, and this time they will succeed. Doesn't matter whether they're children light or who they are, if they do this simple thing, they will succeed. Doesn't matter whether it's children you're working with or adults you're working with. If they put that index finger under and they're around the person, kneeling on one knee, and they all begin to chant together, light as a feather, stiff as a board, light as a feather, stiff as a board, they will be able to lift that person up off the ground. However, when it's done with magical words of power, because when they do it with just normal people doing it, just saying the chant, they normally just lift the person up maybe a foot off the ground before, and just for a few seconds, and then they put them back down. But if you do it with magical words of power, the lift can first be up to head level, and then the lifters can actually stand up and lift the person high, so that, and then finally, at the last moment, they can literally throw them up in the air, and the person will levitate for a moment before they come back down and land on their feet. And this is actually a really cool exercise. Even in its most basic first stage form, it has very important lessons to teach us that are very valuable to understanding whenever you're calling in and coalescing magical energies or priesthood energies, power and authority. And so I'm going to give you a little more history of this simple little exercise because of the important lessons that are taught in it. So the first known account of this exercise was from the diary of a man named Samuel Pepys, who lived born in 1633, died in 1703. So we're talking about quite a while back. He was a British naval administrator. And Pepys recounted a conversation that he had with a friend of his, Mr. Brisbane. Mr. Brisbane had claimed that he had seen 4 little girls playing light as a feather, stiff as a board in Bordeaux, France. In Pepys' account, that he wrote in his diary. This is what he said. It's a little bit archaic language. I tried to clean the language up a little bit so it's more understandable, but this is what he said. He said he saw 4 little girls, very young ones, all kneeling, each of them upon one knee. And one began the first line, whispering in the ear of the next, and then the second, and the third, and the fourth, and then back to the first. Then the first began the second line, and so the round quite through, and putting each one finger only to a boy that lay flat upon his back on the ground, as if he was dead. And at the end of the words, they each did with their forefingers raise the boy as high as they could reach, which would be up high. Mr. Brisbane wondered at it, and he also feared to see it, as one of the little girls was so young that they could hardly make her learn the simple words to repeat. He feared that there might be some slight, in this case that meant fakery, used in it by the boy, or that the boy might be extra light. So he called the cook of the house to come, who's a very lusty fellow, very big, and those 4 children raised him in the same manner. So that was the first published account of this occurring. And the chant that the kids used at that time was not light as a feather, stiff as a board. It was in France, so they were speaking French. And of course, if you're speaking English like right now, and you say any words in French, which is a Latin-based language, it sounds very magical all by itself. So in French, the kids were saying, "Voici un corpse mort." And then they said some other words. Well, this is the translation of what they actually said. They said, "Here is a dead body, stiff as a stick, cold as marble, light as a spirit. Lift yourself in the name of Jesus Christ." That's what the kids were recorded as having said. So the next recording of the levitation exercise comes from a book of magic dated 1857. And it's a direct account of the game being played. In this account, the heaviest man at a party in Venice, Italy, sat in a chair and is initially unable to be lifted up by 6 other people. However, after coordinated hand clapping and synchronized inhalations and exhalations, the man in the chair was able to be lifted on the forefingers of the 6 lifters. Now, the question then arises, how ordinary people, especially children, can succeed with this levitation? And the answer is understanding that in cases with ordinary people or children, no magic is involved. It's purely physics and focus. And these are part of the lessons of this, even when non-magical people do it. The reason that the first time without a chant always fails is in the minds of the participants, it's simply not possible to lift a person with 5 to 6 forefingers. So they really don't give it their best effort. But when they begin to chant in unison, it focuses their intent all together on the same goal at the exact same moment in time. And that is a key to not just bringing in magical energy, but just bringing out your own power to its greatest extent. So Brother Reggie, I'm sure, is very familiar with this type of focus on your power. For instance, breaking boards in karate, kung fu, it's a matter of focus. So you're really focused on that. You're not distracted, and you can give it your full power, and that full power is available to you because of the focus. And then any kind of chanting that's done, regardless of what the words are, if it's a group thing that's taking place and there's chanting involved with any words that are all said the same by all the same people, all in a unison, all in a cadence, that does 2 things. If there's magic involved, it calls in and coalesces that magical energy. If there's no magic involved, it still gets everybody who's in that group on exactly the same page at exactly the same moment with exactly the same focus, and the chant increases the power, the physical power that they have. So these are important things to understand for magic. When you chant, it ensures that there's no minds that are wandering to other thoughts, because everybody is completely focused on succeeding at the task at hand. And the chanting in unison also increases, again, without magic, the muscular force that's available for people to exert. Now, the physics part, remember I told you there was part of this was physics as well, relates to the combined strength of the participants versus the weight of the person that's being lifted. So the upward lift of an arm uses the biceps and deltoid muscles. And this is one of the strongest muscle combinations in our bodies, our biceps and our deltoids. All the muscles in your body only pull. You don't have any muscles that push. You may do a pushing exercise. You may be pushing something physically, but to do that, you're using muscles that are pulling. So for instance, if I were to lift this rock up and lift it like this, it's being lifted like this. It's being lifted because my bicep muscle is contracting. And as that bicep muscle contracts, it allows that to be pulled up. So just remember that all your muscles pull. They don't even push. They can do a pushing action, but that's actually occurring through a muscle that's pulling, contracting together. So keep in mind that if you have, let's see the children example, if you had a child that say weighs 100 pounds, and that child's being lifted by 6 other children, with each lifter only needs to lift about 17 pounds with one arm to lift that child of 100 pounds. So when you put your fingers, when the children put their fingers underneath that person, and there's 6 children, and that person weighs 100 pounds, each child's only lifting 17 pounds. That's the physics here. That's a possible thing to do. So even though it may seem miraculous to them because they're doing it with their forefinger, in fact, there's no miracle there because they can lift 17 pounds with one hand if they're very focused and they're all together in unison. And even though it's just an index finger that's extended on their body, that index finger is supported by 3 other fingers, which is supported by the hand, which is supported by the arm, which is supported by the shoulder. So that's all going together in there. It's that part is physics. Now, when the lift becomes above the shoulder height, that's a different story. Now the arm muscles cannot exert as much strength for the average person who's not a weightlifter, can't exert as much strength in that position. And regular people who are just employing chanting and group focus will not be able to lift a person above their heads. And that becomes beyond their ability of physics to help them out. However, lifting above the head can easily be done if words of power are used. Now, the last feat is to throw the person up in the air. You got them above your head, and now you throw them up in the air and let them levitate for a moment before they come back landing on their feet. And with practice and magic words of power, the time they spend levitating before they come back down can grow from a second or two to a minute or more. So this can become a pretty interesting exercise. So now your homework, if everybody wants to make sure you write this down, because this is actual homework, your homework for the next priesthood class is to go through the Words of Power book and the Words of Power that we've given over the last couple of years in these meetings that are not in the Words of Power book, and one particular word that is recorded in the oracles for levitating. So what I'd like you to do is to find those words that, based upon what those words do, what magical energies they call in, that they would be words that would be useful for this exercise when we're in person. Now, some of the words that you find may not be the correct words, and that's okay. What the exercise, this homework, it's for you to find words that might be applicable. So even when we get together, even if they're not applicable, the fact that you made the effort to find those words is going to help you learn more about those words and those powers and the power of them. So please, for our next priesthood class, rather than me tell you what those words are right now, everybody seek out the words in the Word of Power book, a single word in the oracles that you'll find, that some of you probably already know, and any words that you've written down that when we've told you new words of power that aren't in the book. And that's all I want to say on that for right now. So before
I make a comment about that game?
Sure. Go ahead.
Well, I remember playing that game, especially in middle school, that time in my life when I was opening up to new possibilities. And for me, the experience was, and I don't know if it was because I was involved in doing something, but the person was levitating. Like we didn't feel any weight anymore when we would be raising somebody. And
I
then all of a sudden,
because you were part of the circle there, Sumara.
oh, okay.
Because normally when regular people do it, they can lift, but they're still going to feel the weight as they're lifting. But if you felt weightless, and everybody else may have felt the same weightless levitating as well. It's because Sumara was there in the circle.
Hey, I just discovered my power.
Your
That's
first
just 12.
example of it.
Never realized it.
Well, we can get back.
Remember that.
I'm going to talk on one other subject then. If we want to circle back and talk in more details about any of the other things, then we can do that as well. And since Skye says she'd like to hear Kiel's experience too. Okay, so next thing I want to talk about is how to recoalesce magical energy once you've completed an enchantment. So we do a lot of enchantments here. And from time to time, as happened to us just a few days ago, you will forget to include all the items to be enchanted. And then you're going to need to enchant the others at another time. Now, normally that's easy enough if it was a simple enchantment without a lot of angels or words of power that were called in for the enchantment. So oftentimes we'll have enchantments that are very specific in their nature. They're going to be able to help people with one simple task. And so because it's with one simple task or one simple ability that they want to amplify in themselves or in their life, so the number of angels called in that are appropriate for that single ability or the number of words of power are small. And the enchantment doesn't take a lot of time. But sometimes we have enchantments that, because of the nature of the enchantment, what it's for, and it's a much larger purpose, can encompass a lot more things. There's a lot of angels that are called in that are appropriate to bring their special energy of their stewardship and imbue it into the enchantment. And there's a lot of words of power that are oftentimes associated. So those type of enchantments take much, much more time. Just calling in a single angel takes some time. And if there's a whole bunch of them, then that makes a difference. When I say a whole bunch, a typical enchantment that is focused on a very singular purpose may have 6 or 7 angels in it that are also called upon to imbue their special stewardship energy into the enchantment. But an enchantment that's more wide-ranging may have 20 or 30 angels in it, and each one of those angels has to be called individually 3 times and spoken to before you can go on to the next angel. So you have to call them in and 3 times, and you have to speak to them and ask them to help with the enchantment. And so it's quite time consuming. And sometimes when we're not aware of everything, or that we're trying to collect all the different items that need to be enchanted, sometimes we leave out some of those items, and we'll get to the enchantment and go, oh, wow, we forgot to include those 3 in the enchantment. So now we're left with, well, do we need to do this enchantment all over again for just those 3 items that we forgot to include? And the answer is sometimes yes and sometimes no. And the reason that is if you discover those missing items that you didn't include in the enchantment that were supposed to be included, and it's within 10 minutes of having just done the enchantment, then you can do this recoalescing enchantment that will allow you to just recoalesce all the energies that are still there, but it's been less than 10 minutes, and they're all still available to just refocus onto those 3 items that were missing, or however many items were missing. But if it's been more than 10 minutes, that energy that was all coalesced in for the enchantment has dissipated away, and it wouldn't be possible to still do that. In that case, you're going to have to do the whole longer enchantment or shorter enchantment, whichever it is, all over again, because you didn't find those missing items quick enough. Now, I'm going to give you an example here. I'm going to put this on screensaver so you can see these. Okay, so here's an example of what we were talking about. These were the stones that we went to enchant the other day. Now, this is fluorescent pink calcite. So you can see this is what it looks like under normal light, and this is what it looks like under UV light. These are extremely powerful stones. They're the magic that we're enchanting them with, which is harmonious with their nature, is to be able to call in the flow for manifestation. So when there's different things that you can manifest for manifestation. There's different types of manifestation magic. So a basic manifestation magic can call in a magic that's going to help someone manifest whatever it is they're trying to manifest. But that may not necessarily be harmonious with their life. So you've heard the saying, be careful what you wish for. And that's the case of, if you're not careful with what you enchant something for manifestation, you may get something that manifests what you think you wanted, but it doesn't come in the way that actually is harmonious with you or helpful to you, even though it actually fulfills your desire for manifesting that. So these stones are particularly, you can see the natural light, that they have a kind of a light pink hue to them, kind of like rose quartz. It's more whitish, but it's still very light pink. And pink is a very soothing, harmonious color. So these lend themselves very much, because of their magical potential over here, to calling in manifestation, but in a very harmonious way. What that harmonious way is what we call the flow. The flow can come to you either when you've asked for it or even when you haven't asked for it, at least not consciously. The flow is you call in the energies that you need in your life, even when you're not aware that you're calling in those energies, even if you're not aware that you need those energies. Your body is a natural magnet that calls in the energies that you need. But if you're not aware that you need those energies, then what will happen is the flow will bring you something that presents a solution to you, and you don't even realize it's there. And because it's a flow, it's always moving. It's like a river. So you're standing in one spot, the river's bringing you what you need, it gets to where you are, and because you didn't call it in and you weren't thinking about it, but the flow just brought it to you automatically, you don't recognize it when it's in front of you, and so it passes on. So for instance, let's take a soulmate. And I know Sumara can elaborate on this more a little later. But you can have a soulmate that you want to find your soulmate. I want my soulmate. And so you may not be thinking about it, you may not be consciously calling for a soulmate, but it's back in your mind, in your heart, you always wish you had your soulmate. You wish you could find that soulmate. And so the flow brings you your soulmate. She or he comes right in front of you and you meet them. But because you weren't actually actively looking for them and thinking about them, you don't recognize them. They just seem like another person. And so they flow out of your life and that opportunity's gone. So the magic of these stones is so great because they bring manifestation in a harmonious way that's with the flow. So when you ask for something, the flow brings it to you and it's harmonious. It's only going to manifest something that's harmonious. So these are great stones. We did the enchantment, and then guess what? We didn't put all the stones in. We probably had like 6 that we had forgotten. We had left them in another room. Luckily, we discovered those about 5 minutes after we were finished, so we were able to do the recoalescing enchantment, which I'm going to share with you now. Oh, I've got to share one more picture. Sorry, going back to those stones. We saw what they looked like when they were in natural light. This is one of the larger ones, and you see it's 2 different colors. A lot of magical stones will fluoresce different colors depending upon the wavelength of the ultraviolet light that's used. So this is the same exact stone in Samara's hand, and on the left is that stone under shortwave UV, and under the right is the same stone under long wave UV. Excuse me. Okay, so now I'm going to show you, because it's part of your learning how to do enchantments, I'm going to show you this long enchantment that we did and why we didn't want to have to do it again if we could avoid it. So, all right. So can everybody see this screen? It has the words on it? Okay. So this was the enchantment for the pink calcite fluorescent stones. The purpose of the enchantment was summoning the flow for manifestation. And these are the angels that we called in for this. Karandarel, the angel of manifestation. Sardarandel. Okay, I'll get it. Sardarandel, angel of mental clarity. Sarkarok, angel of catalyst energy. Shuzawas, angel of positive possibilities. Velaton, angel of action. Kalalater, angel of energy and vitality. Grazamine, angel of self-empowerment. Jelanesu, angel of discernment. Carmentisia, angel of passion. Zagalius, angel of self-motivation. Huberon, angel of abundance. Sijan, angel of achievement. Jorantin, angel of ideas. Zeres, angel of vision. Zarvanel, angel of hidden power. Balderin, angel of resonance. Lehona, angel of truth. Zizarahim, angel of higher consciousness. Vivaciana, angel of honest introspection. Zikael, angel of Zka synergetic amplification. Dasaline, angel of message streams. Bashar, angel of blessings. Elchias, angel of faith. Enostia, okay, I get it. Nestia, angel of initiative. So those were all the angels, and you can see that that's a lot of angels that have to do over again. So luckily, we were able to do the this nice little angel of recoalescing enchantment. But before that, let's look at the rest of what we said to make this enchantment. So these are the angels we called on, and this is the actual enchantment. So first of all, we say these three words. These are the coalescing energies of the enchantment. You always say these three words at the beginning of any enchantment, and you say them 3 times, and you say them powerfully. Raksa, Bingalai, Tormande. Raksa, Bingalai, Tormande. That immediately energizes all the magic energy that you could possibly call in and gets it ready for you to call in and coalesce. Then we say this one, you just change a few words in it to make it appropriate for whatever you're chanting. We call upon and coalesce the energies of the angels we have summoned, our magical commands and the words of power on high that we specify, and imbue them into these fluorescent pink calcite stones as the owner needs them to apply. Now we look at the words of power, we're calling it. So these are all the words of power. And the way we do this, when we do ours, is if it has a number next to it, that means it's in the book. Words of power. If it doesn't, if it has asterisks next to it, that means those are words that are not in the book. So these are the ones we called in for this enchantment. Increase mental clarity, Kaparam. Create or gain more abundance, Waz Tor Ramazaz. Increase good fortune, Galan the Vizan. Gain more faith, Osas. Self-motivated to take action, Kashan Kerel. Activating energies of manifestation, Daka. Become more passionate, become more self-confident and empowered, become more discerning, increase your luck, discovering your purpose in life with a clear vision of your best path, attract people into your life that can help you. Those were all the words of power we used for this one enchantment. And then this is the command. Sometimes the commands can last for a couple paragraphs. You want to make them as short and sweet as possible. Excuse me, I'm running out of voice here. But this was our commands. These stones are magically tasked to summon the flow of all energies of harmonious manifestation as the owner needs and asks. This we command, this we decree, by the power of 3, so let it be. So that gives you an example of a very complicated, many angels and words of power enchantment that was used for these very special stones. And I'm going to go now to the recoalescing enchantment, and I'm going to show you that as well, so you can see it. Much simpler, but again, you can only do this, you can only use this if you are within 10 minutes of doing your original enchantment. And this is it. First of all, this is the magical word that you're calling in here, the word of power, that's going to activate this particular enchantment, Zuwanda. So as you say that 3 times, Zuwanda, Zuwanda, Zuwanda. All right. Now we're going to say the enchantment. And this is the coalescing enchantment. Again, you would just fill in the blank here that's underlined for whatever it is that you're enchanting. Upon these fluorescent pink calcite stones, neglected to be included, the enchantment just missed, we recoalesce all the angelic and magical energies that were present and imbue them into these stones, that with the original enchantment, they will be empowered, harmonious, and full of bliss. This we command, this we decree by the power of 3, so let it be. Now, of course, you guys can't say the power of 3 because there's not 3 of you together doing it. So you'll have to do an alternative one in the name of Elohim, the things like that that you can use. We've talked about those before, and we can talk about them some more if you need to know those. Okay, so this is going to be repeated 3 times as well. So it's always 3 times 3. That's the enchantment energy. Okay, so I'm done talking. So now we can take comments from other people, questions. Sumara probably has some. Are you cold, Sumara, with your gloves on? Are you in an unheated room?
Yeah, I have a little heater here, but otherwise, I have about this much space that's warm.
Did you want to add anything when we're talking about soulmates or anything?
Well,
And how the flow can bring you things that you don't recognize.
We actually crossed paths 3 times. We realized before we actually met or were introduced to each other. So our resonance was not right at that point, and we weren't looking strongly enough.
But the flow still brought us together, even though we weren't expecting it.
Right. Exactly.
Then we have the story of the two young people who were active in our group a couple years ago. Okay, you shared that last time. Okay, all right. So, any other questions or comments on, or more knowledge needed on any things that I've talked about today?
Yeah, so one thing I want to mention about your energy, because I was elated when you talked about that, because I love that. And one correction, so wood is the break, then brick, concrete slab. So anybody could break a wood, right? But when you have something like a brick, like the brick that's used to build a house, that's a whole different type of energy involved and focus. Like you mentioned, that all breath too. And it's all physics too, all combined together to allow that full energy to go through it. And when you were talking about that, it was exactly the same way how I first learned how to do those techniques when I was asked to perform them. You know, it took me a while, so I kept practicing and practicing and practicing, because most of the things that was there was coming up from here, from my mind, right? Because my mind was like, what are you doing, right? You know, you're gonna break your hands. Are you crazy? So that had to be quiet, right? So because every time that I saw that, Master and Grandmaster said, "Okay, go." I was like, I looked at it. I was like, "You want me to do this now or next week?" I said now, and I wouldn't break it. Say, yeah, you gotta stop thinking. Just do. I was like, my hand. So I started doing it over and over. Start practicing, and what was the key element was that is making this quiet, making this believe that it could be done. And once I started doing that, making believe, and one day, without any thought, without any hesitation, I just did it, and that was it. So that was very interesting how, you know, how those kids were doing it too. In that game, it's almost the same thing, you know, because kids are, you know, they don't, it's like it's easy, you know, for them, right? So it's kind of interesting.
They don't know what they can't do, so they do it anyway.
Right. Correct. Right. So as we get older, as we get younger, yeah, that's it. Younger, you know, a lot of this, you know, so it's learning how to take this out and be like kids and play.
And just like you had as you said, quiet your mind in order to be able to just focus and be able to succeed. And it's the same for whether we're doing priesthood ordinances or calling in magical energy. Your mind is so easy to wander, and especially if you're in a group of people and you're trying to do something together, and if even one person's mind is wandering, then the group focus is broken. And so things like chanting together literally focuses you to, or forces you to be focused together on the same purpose and quiet the mind, so all the minds are thinking at the moment on the same thing.
Absolutely. So thank you for that.
Well,
thank you for yours as well, brother.
Yes, and it reminds me of this in your book Demon Hunter, where as a young Taz, you didn't have the parameters that everybody else had created, that you can't do something. You just did, you were just led, and you didn't conform to those rules. And
I didn't
so
know
that's-
that.
Now, did Brother Kiel say he had something he wanted to share? Guys?
Yeah, Kiel, you said you had played that game, Stiff as a Board, Light as a Feather. Did you actually ever do it?
Actually, I've heard about it. I heard other people talk about it. I guess I never really participated in that, I guess. So
Did you
Yeah.
know of anyone that was doing it, where they told you you did it? Or
that was
something?
it was in high school, I guess. There was some kids talking about it, I guess.
Ah,
That's where I heard
yeah,
of it.
see, I
Yeah.
never heard of it until I came across Sumara.
But we'll have to do it when everybody's together here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sister Dancha.
Well, I have heard about this game, Light as a Feather, Stiff as a Board. There was a movie, The Craft. You can still find it. It's the original version of The Craft. There, well, in my 20s, I watched a lot of films with light and dark witchcraft and spells and enchantments, like the Charmed one that appeared the series there. And I always liked the light magic, the summoning of light, like being a light warrior since 20 years ago. And there is when I saw that game, and apparently much of the children in America did play it. It's like Brother Reggie said, when you are a child, you will do anything, even the impossible things for the grown-ups, simply because you don't know that you can't do it. And in my course of time, I even got certificates of something I didn't actually finish. Just, of something I didn't know that I cannot get that kind of certificate, and yet I did get everything I needed just simply because I went there and tried. And they say, how did you do it? There is a procedure and there is that, and then, oh, I didn't know. I have done so many things just because I didn't know that they cannot be done. And I wanted to share some good info, especially since we are speaking about enchantment. You know how I love enchantment. And I have this book of spells and enchantments. And you remember that I made an enchantment, a silver pendant and a silver necklace for my husband for his birthday, to lose, especially to lose weight and to be in a healthy way and not to regain that weight afterwards. And after a few days that he put on the necklace and the pendant, after just a day or two, a friend called him and he said, see, I know that you're struggling with weight. I have lost so much weight with this diet. And imagine you are the same blood group. And he started immediately, and in a week, he has lost 8 kilos until today. He is just losing weight in a healthy diet way. My enchantment work. And I'm
Wow, congratulations.
You had a secret
Share
part to that
share the
enchantment too.
diet.
It sounds like it's a blood type diet. Is that the one that he's on?
Yes, it's a blood type diet. He is A positive, and his friend is also A positive, but they haven't heard from each other ages, and not to talk about diets. They are guys. They talk about going into to drink or something, and it just cleared the air, and he has so much strength in him just to be careful what he and he I have never seen him so strict of losing weight. He didn't even had one piece of chocolate, nothing. This is also what I engraved his pendant with the strength not to be lured into anything that will break his will to lose weight, a word of power. And it simply works. And just because, I have said so many times in my head, how do I do all this? You are there. If you can only teach me. But I remembered that I have all of you in my astral field, in my spirit. So if you can, and if Yeshua said that we can, we surely can. And I just created this beautiful enchantment. And I said, okay, if they say I can, and I really enjoy doing enchantments. I love them. I believe that it is my passion to do enchantment, even though they are all in English, and I may not be so fluent in English, and maybe I'm doing something wrong, but it just the love I have toward bringing good to people through the enchantments and beautiful light magic. It's like a child. I never forgot how to be pure channel of energy as a child. So this is what I wanted to share with you,
Thank you
my
so
dear
much,
family.
Natasha.
That's
And
awesome.
one of the secret things that helps Alex with your enchantment is not only do you have lots of love and lots of intent and are able to write a great enchantment, but you imbued it into something that he's wearing. So that's something for everyone to remember, is that when you enchant something, or if you have something that you have obtained that was obtained from us, the closer that object is to you, the more powerful the enchantment will have an effect upon you. So if you have, for instance, when I was talking about those pink calcite stones, if you had a pink calcite stone, which is to bring manifestation to you in a harmonious way, but the stone is left at your home and you're at work in some other part of the town, it's not going to really have any effect on you that far away, or very, very little. On the other hand, if you're at home and you have it sitting next to you, or even in your pocket, then it's going to have more effect. And if you have a piece of jewelry, that's even the best, because if it's imbued into a piece of jewelry, it's right up against your body and it's there wherever you go. So that energy of that enchantment becomes much more powerful affecting you, whether it's to lose weight or to manifest something, whatever the enchantment's for. When you can have it on your person, whether it's something in your pocket or even better, something that's visible on your body. So for instance, I see many of you wearing the Celestine Light pendant, either as a pin or as a necklace. That's powerful energy. That's a very powerfully enchanted item with extremely powerful sigils on it. And if you have that on you, and particularly if it's showing, it's bringing all that magical energy to you.
Yes,
Exactly.
and having the passion that you do makes your enchantments very powerful. And I can testify to that diet too, because that was a very transformative diet in our evolution of learning about diet. It's kind of like the base step of understanding that different foods react with your blood type differently. And so in our family, we have V, A, and O. So trying to cook great meals to satisfy all of those blood types was tricky at times. But when we discovered that diet, I was pregnant with Angel, and I had horrible, horrible morning sickness. And then we got that. And it wasn't going away. It was past the time that you have morning sickness. And we discovered that book, and I followed that diet. And from that moment, the morning sickness went away, because I was eliminating all the foods that were controversial for my body, which it shows up in a blood test.
Right. And I remember that because one of those was tofu. And we were vegetarians and we were using tofu as a big part of our diet at that point because we weren't doing even fish. And the day that you quit tofu, I remember that explicitly.
Hallelujah.
You know, that was powerful.
Yeah. Well, before I made an enchantment, this is why I write everything. And today I just finished all this notebook. See how small I'm writing? It is all full with the knowledge from these classes of 2 years. And
Awesome.
I have,
Wow.
yeah, and I have started another one. And I have all the theory I need to have. We spoke about the colors, we spoke about the metals. I have gone through every single enchanted mineral you have on your side, everything written down with every single angel. I summoned them. I sense their energy, every single word of power, and only then when I know enough, only then I manipulate the energies. I need to have these theoretical basics, which is, I'm so blessed to have all this knowledge from you. It's amazing. Me with my wish to be able to do this and doing this for 2 years now, it's really a wish come true. And I have all the theory here to be very good light warrior and a high priestess and an excellent evangelist as I can be. So thank you for the knowledge you give us.
Thank you for being someone who takes that knowledge and absorbs it all up and uses it in wonderful ways. We're blessed to have you among us. And you're such a great example for all of us to really study and learn, because you're only able to do anything if you learn and practice and do it. And so the fact that all of you attend these meetings, that's already a huge step. You're so much further ahead of, we have a lot of people in Celestine Light, they may or may not even visit the website very often, and they're really missing out. And hopefully you all are getting that same advantage. I wanted to share real quickly, because we were talking about it, so everybody can see what we were talking about. Maybe I'll find it here. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. Okay. This is the book we're all talking about. If anybody is interested, Eat Right for Your Type by Dr. Peter D'Amato. Now, there are people who refute this and say, no, this doesn't work at all. You know, this is just hearsay, whatever. But as you read the book, you'll see that these guys, they really did their homework, actually experimenting with blood and putting different substances in the different blood types to see how they reacted. And I won't go into it other than to say that they did do a lot of scientific inquiry. The only update we would have on that is Philos told us that even though this is absolutely accurate in a general sense, that people can have foods that are not necessarily traditionally part of that blood type, but if they've been eating them all of their lives, they may have built up basically an immunity to that food so that it doesn't detrimentally affect them in the way it would normally detrimentally affect someone of that blood type. And
he gave us a test. So he said that if you have a particular food you really love, which Embrosewyn did when we all got this book, he loved orange juice. And so, I would drink like a half gallon of it a day on a summer day sometimes. And when we read this, we looked at it and said, you can't have orange juice. And no, I do fine with orange juice. I drink it all the time. And so here's the test. Philo said, you take the food that you really want that maybe isn't on your blood type. You have a sufficient quantity of it in the morning on an empty stomach and don't have anything before or after for a little bit to give yourself time to digest and see what you feel. Do you get gas? does your energy go down? What do you feel, or do you feel just fine? Well, he found out he didn't feel good at all when he did that with the orange juice. In fact, when he cut the orange juice out, it did a lot of good things for him that he started noticing. So it's fascinating, but that's a wonderful test.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and in fact, with orange juice, for me, after I actually thought about it and tried to do these tests to see, well, because I love orange, I love the taste of it, and especially on cold orange juice on a hot day. But when I actually did the tests, like Phyllis asked, I found that I could drink orange juice in the morning, and then through the day eat other things, lunch and even dinner. And by the end of the day, I could still burp up the taste of orange juice. It just simply wasn't digesting in my stomach, even though other food had been introduced in there. Even after hours and hours, juice should go through your body really quick, within
especially
half hour.
Yeah.
And so to have any kind of burping, as you're still burping up the taste of that fruit hours later, is showing you definitely it is not working in your body.
So
Although
you
we did find out that when we juiced it fresh, it digested.
Well, even that for me, it still didn't, because I could do the fresh juice, and it was a little better than the not fresh juice, but it still didn't work. I could still burp. I could still burp it up hours later.
Oh, well, you never told me that when I was making it every morning.
Because I like the taste. I love it. And I don't have a lot of willpower.
We need one of those.
Yeah, we know that. We know that.
We're going to have to do it.
To call on T-Roots a lot.
Yeah, we have Pirusa and you Harleys. Is that the name for the diet, the angel of diet? We have those on our refrigerator. Willpower and diet. Both of us need it. Sumara, not so much.
Anybody else have some comments or questions?
Yes, I'd like to share something. I have always spent a lot of time in the future. That's just something I like to see ahead. Because I've had things happen to me that I didn't want to happen. Now I want to know what's happening in the future so I can be prepared. So one thing I do is in the morning when I wake up, I don't have a schedule now where I have to jump out of bed. So I spend some time just thinking, and I always pay attention to those thoughts that come into my mind right when I wake up, because I realize those are threads of reality that if I put energy into them, they can become real. And so the other morning, a couple mornings ago, I was thinking about our community, and everything just flashed into my mind, and I wanted to see if I could paint that same picture for you all that I saw. So I'm just going to close my eyes. A lot of times when I think about things, threads will go off into another direction. If I think about a person, I'll see something related to that person. So what I saw is this land that we live on, this incredible land that we've been on for 9 years. We've rented this space, and this is where Elohim brought us. I mean, the circumstances in which we found ourselves in that house were pretty magical to begin with. But the same person built all of these buildings. It's like Elohim was guiding him to build these buildings for us. And now he's wanting to retire, and he's got kids down in California, and he wants to leave. So it's time for us to take that property. I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know where the money is going to come from, but I know if we have a united will and desire, it's in the flow of Elohim, it will happen. And so this is what I saw. I saw Sister Danta and Brother Alexander in that house that it's on that I put on the Mimi site with the pool in front, and Nia in the building next to them, which is a separate house but shares the same amenities. I saw Brother Reggie and his whole family in that building just below the newest building, which can be easily made into a family home. And down the hill, I saw Sister Jeanette in an RV, a RV space that others made into their space, and it's really nice. It's got a covered spot, and it's got the hot tub across the way with the covered sitting place that they can look at the view. And I saw Sister Erica and her family in the red house below, which is the original house. This property has a lot of history. That's the original house on this property that the owner grew up in. And it was just remodeled a few years ago. Perfect for Sister Erica. And then we just happen to live in a town that has a yurt making company. And yurts you can put up fairly quickly. So I saw Brother Kiel in a yurt, and Sister Zandy and all of her whole family in yurts, which are temporary housing. But you know, I lived in a yurt. I mean, not a yurt. I lived in a teepee for a year, and I built a wiki up, and that didn't even have, neither of those even had a floor. Dirt floor, I just put carpet on, and it was very comfortable. In Nevada, it gets to be 40 below. And so I saw a whole bunch of yurts. Brother Tom and Brother Vu, and just happened to live just above the university, so it's within walking distance for university students. I saw homes being built. For example, Brother Alexander is going to make sure Sister Danta has her dream house. So I saw that as actually kind of in a tree. The cool thing about tree houses is that you have the cool woodsy feeling, but you're up, and so you have that view, that expansive view, which is so important for Philo said this a long time ago. To have an expansive view expands your spirit. And I saw us acquiring the property at the top of the hill with the church that will be dug into the side of the mountain, and the whole front will be glass that we can, on top of it, it'll be in the woods, and on top will be the path of three. And then you go down the hill, and then you come into the front, which is all glass. And this is an area where there's a lot of people ready for us. They're just waiting. It's like I see so many people in this area. Oh, they would be great as Celestines, but they're all caught up in their own thing. We had our own community. Imagine what we could do if we're all together. And I know that every one of you could say, well, you know, that would be nice, but you know, right now I'm doing this and I can't, you know, it's not going to work for me. But you know, if you think that, then it won't. You know, that's what you create. But if we all want to be in the flow of Elohim, we can be amazing together. I mean, having meetings like this where we're far apart is wonderful, but imagine if we could be together. Imagine what we could do. I mean, Embrosewyn being led to acquire magical minerals, and how we can do white magic, powerful magic when we're together. I mean, we're unlimited what we can do. And so I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Sumara.
Thank you.
for
Thank you.
sharing that.
So be it.
Thank you, Sister Sumara. That
Yeah,
was so
thank you.
beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah, so be it.
And I guess I should share one other thing related to that. Samara and Skye and I were talking about the dream that she was just explaining. And of course,
That was
the
more of a vision.
And of course, the thing to make all of that happen is money. And thinking, well, where's this money coming from? And we said, well, rather than thinking, us trying to think, what's our next step for that or that, is just think in the larger scheme of this is what we want, this is what we need, this is the energy flow we want to bring to us, and then let's see what the flow brings us. Well, probably the next day after we had made that focus, as has happened to me on multiple occasions, I was doing something else, and Elohim popped an idea into my mind out of the blue, something I had never, ever even had the inkling of a thought about. And immediately it comes into my mind fulfilled, so that the idea is not just here's an idea I have to build upon it, but I have the whole complete package all at once. And I realized, I've done a lot of inventions over the years, and nothing that I've commercialized, because I always was too retentive. I didn't want to risk someone stealing my inventions, so I never would, and I never had enough money to do it myself, so I just never did them. And they sit there, and so this was an invention that came to my mind that Elohim brought there, that actually had a potential to be super easy to do, not advanced technology that couldn't be done. It's existing technology that just needs to be reconfigured, and that literally every home will want multiple copies of. And I realized immediately, wow, this is something that would actually bring in, as it came from Elohim, we'd have to use it for church purposes, and it came in something that would bring in millions and millions of dollars quite quickly. So that's how quickly the flow can bring things to you. So I'm actually, the very next day I went and I ordered the components that I need to start assembling a prototype, and away we go. So hopefully you'll hear more about that in the future in ways that can benefit your lives.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes, well, and I want to remind you of what Miriam said, to use angels. Use angels to help you manifest the flow to bring you here, if that's what you desire. But there was another thing that I saw that was really fun, is when you have a community, do fun community things. You're like a family. Because I was part of a community, I could easily envision the place, the community gathering area where we had talent shows and everybody came to participate. And we have lots of art studios. In fact, there's 2 buildings right on the property already that can be used for businesses. We have many businesses. We have work. We just need people and money to put it all together. But it's all there. So all the ideas are there. We just need to do it. So, there's so many advantages to living in a community, having an extended family, a family of resonant souls. That's so powerful and so unusual.
Well, but plus everybody's talents get used in the community, so that, for instance, Brother Kiel, he's an outdoor guy. He likes to do things outdoors. So he and I would probably do a lot of work at our gold mine. But some other people are more, they work on the computer all the time. That's their expertise. And so they would be not working at the gold mine. So yeah, that's the community, everything.
Yeah, we have a
gold.
We have a gold mine that if we had group mining projects, we could do very well with that. So that's for anybody that wants to do physical work, because it is hard work. And then I also saw as the community expands that we live in great country, that there will be another community in the valley next door, which is like a half an hour from here. And there's lots of vineyards that I saw acquiring one of those vineyards and being able to create Celestine wine. If they didn't.
That would be an
And
awesome
we
thing.
have
I would-
bees that live in our
A house.
attic right now. We
Over
just
my
need to-
bedroom.
Yeah, there's probably hundreds of pounds of honey up there.
Oh, thousands.
Hopefully won't crash
Big as
down
big as
on
their hive is. Yeah, they're honeybees, and yeah, their hive. They have 2 entrances that are about 30 feet apart. So it has to be a pretty big hive.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, brothers and sisters?
Brian.
Just remember that what seems impossible is always possible.
With Elohim,
You know,
everything is possible.
Yes, just like what Reggie was saying about his mind didn't think he could break the brick without hurting his hand. Well, of course, that seems impossible to anybody when you first think of it. But the possible is always, or the impossible can always become possible. But you have to believe it. It all comes from our belief and our faith. Osas is the word of faith, I believe. Osas
Yes.
is a powerful word of power for creating faith. Osas. Remember that word.
I've always been one of my own quotes that I gave myself in my mind when I was a teenager still, and I probably have repeated it many, many times every year or every week, is dream great dreams and make them reality. I'm always remembering Captain Cook, who was an early English explorer, and said that he let's see if I can remember, just his intention was to not only go further than any person had ever gone before, but to go further than it would be possible for any other person to ever go again. Of course, he didn't realize how big the world was, or the universe, but the concept being, dream great dreams and make them reality. Celestine Light offers us the opportunity, both in our individual lives and as a group of family of light, to have great dreams and make them reality. And I testify to you, my brothers and sisters of light, that it is possible in each of our lives. Look at our reality we have today and see a reality far, far better for us and our families, and that reality is attainable in the light with Elohim. And you may not see the path to get there, but know that it is possible to get there, and opening yourself up to the flow to let that come in brings possibilities into reality. And I testify those things in the name of our brother Yeshua. So be it.
Oh, yeah.
So be it.
It's-
I just wanted to add another thing about one of the advantages of community is with children being able to have a community school where, children today are being poisoned in the school system, and they're so caught up in social media and the pressures that if we had a community where they could get their socialization from other children in the community and not be poisoned by all that stuff out there, even here in this wonderful area, the schools have been poisoned, in my opinion. So it would be wonderful to have that community support with our children and not have all the detrimental things that they're exposed to out in the world.
Thank you, Sumara. Anyone else want to comment or say anything before we say goodbye?
I have something to say. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have been trying to work with the angels for some time, and it's working well, great. But then I had an issue with ordering something. So I ordered something and it has gotten to my country for about 3 weeks now. And it's held by the customs. So I was trying to like sort out the perfect angel to call on for this, but I don't have any, like, I don't know. So I just wanted to ask for insight on that.
So you have something that's being held by customs and they won't release it to you?
Yeah.
And did you have to pay a duty on it or something? Is that why it's not being released?
Yeah, I've actually paid for everything they said, but then they keep increasing money and I don't have.
Hmm.
So how much are they asking for in their duty?
For my currency, that is about 150,000.
How much is that in dollars? The American dollars?
That's, I don't know, about $100 or something.
Right, $200, $250 more.
Wow,
Yeah.
Still a lot.
that's still a lot, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I felt like if I had like something to say or an angel to call, because I was searching through the angel stuff, I've been just trying to like go with the flow and study more on the Celestine Light, the Inception books and stuff like that. So it's been helping me like a lot. So I was thinking perhaps there's an angel I could call that is not in the book.
Well, can I say something?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a word of power we could use called Tarazaram to release negative energy. It's Tarazaram, Tarazerram. You say that to release the negative energy that's blocking you to receive the blessings that's due to you. So you say that 3 times, Tarazaram. And you use Angel Ostalja, Angel of Protection. You can use her stewardship to tell her to help you, to give you, protect you and protect the goods that's coming for you for your highest good, to let that flow to you and to release that negative energy that's blocking it. That should help.
Thank you, Brother Reggie.
No problem.
I'm looking here for something else that might help you. Just hold on a second.
Sure.
Let's see.
So you got that, Sister Zandy? Tarazaram?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
Tarazerram.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Now we go forward.
Brother Reggie, maybe you could send it for her in a message in the MeWe so that she could have it.
Oh, okay. Hold. Sure. In MeWe.
Yeah, I will post the sigil of the
Okay.
word. Don't
Cool.
worry. Yeah,
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you, Sister Don.
welcome. It is a word of power that is in the book. It's beautiful sigil, like a pentacle in a circle and with in all directions. And I have the same problem here in my country with the post office. And for years, like I use an angel for a free spot, for a free parking space for Alexander. I use an angel for mail, an angel for, and I call just the angel of mail for like a post mail. And together with my female guardian angel, they do miracles with my post. I just send my female guardian angel to do these things for me because she's very gently. And I picture her how she gently just removes the envelope if it is stolen or hidden from some dark spot. She just removes the envelope and puts in the postman's bag. And then I use the angel of post and mails and packages to get to me. And miraculously, until now, this works. So I use very, very often my guardian angels because their job is my well-being and the evolution of my soul. So they are my guardians. I'm their protege. So they are my armor. So use them, ask them, be friend with them every single day. They help a lot.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Sister Dancha. I'm just putting in the chat window angels that could help. So everybody should be able to see this in just a minute. There's one, and then here's another one.
Right, these will be ones that aren't in the book. So,
And I just wanted to let everyone know that this community, this spot that Elohim chose for us is our reward for being who we are. And so I just want you to keep that in mind too.
And then, I can't get to my words of power right now because the Zoom is on. Doesn't let me downsize it to get to my other screen. So I will add some words of power that might help as well for you, Sister Sandy.
In my country, every package is open, so they open it once or twice. So I'm just praying. The moment you tell us that you have sent us gifts is the moment I start praying for the package not to be stolen. And my I sent my female guardian angel to look after that package the whole way until that package is safe in my arms. And I never stop praying until I get my package. I'm still waiting for my certificates, and I pray every single day that the good postman will come and give them to me.
Well, that's
Oh, you still haven't
wonderful. And I don't know why the postal systems are really bad in some countries and other countries they're not, but I do know that when that shipped for Sister Zandy, when we've tried shipping things to African countries, and this is multiple countries, I'm not sure we've ever successfully had anything we've shipped to Africa actually get to the people. And
well, Sister Zandy, did you
packages.
receive? Oh, Sister Zandy, did you receive all the pendants that we sent you for your family?
No, not yet. I was thinking it takes about 3 months to get here.
Oh.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, we sent quite a good package to Brother Vu in Vietnam too, but I haven't heard from him that he received his package either. So hopefully, it's hard with the mail system. People, I don't know what happens to packages. People just take them, or in the postal service and never deliver them, or what.
but we can do some magic to help those things.
Well, just asking Elohim to help.
Yeah.
So that even if someone normally steals packages, that when they get that package, they'll deliver it.
Right. Answer that question that how do our guardian angels? That was a long time.
Oh yeah, and you were going to get Todd's insights into the Ukraine.
Oh, you can do that.
Okay, well, so Sumara asked me that you guys might be interested, and if you're not, just don't hesitate to tell me that doesn't sound something you want to hear about. But we have the conflict going on in Ukraine right now, the war. It's a terrible war, actually, and the Taz are all hands on deck trying to fix it. And some things that are going on that you may or may not be aware of, probably aren't, so you might be interested in, is there's a lot of the President Zelensky of Ukraine has made pleas for foreigners from other countries to come and help fight in Ukraine, and they set them up kind of like a foreign legion battalion. So there's been many people, over 10,000 people, who have journeyed to Ukraine from other countries to help in their effort to not be overtaken by Russia. Well, the interesting thing is, in a war, each side demonizes the other. So it doesn't matter who the opponents are. Each side's going to make the other opponent to be the most terrible people in the world and the most terrible country in the world and all these bad things as part of the thing that they do to the populace to be supportive of their war effort. So even though, and certainly what Russia's done is horrible, and I'm absolutely horrible. It doesn't mean that all Ukrainians are saints and everything that they do. And of course, they're defending their country, and they have a righteous anger about having to do that and seeing things destroyed and people killed. But with these foreign fighters that are coming, something I don't think is people are being made aware of, especially after foreign people, is a lot of people are volunteering and are feeling motivated to go over there and join that war effort. But a lot of them have no experience as soldiers, and they're going to be with the intention of being medics or being logistical support back behind the line somewhere. But what's actually happening in many cases is that the people who are volunteering to do that are coming through Poland, and then they cross the border. Poland has a very big border with Ukraine. They cross the border to Ukraine, and they receive 48 hours, two days of training to how to fight and be a soldier. And even those who say, well, I just came over to be a medic, I just want to help medic, or I want to be logistics, help with supply lines or whatever, but they're all given the same 48 hours of how to be a soldier, and then they're sent into the front lines. And a lot of these people, actually a lot of them, they're also being required to, a lot of them thought they were just going to come in for like a couple months and help out, but they're being required to sign a 1-year contract to be a soldier for Ukraine for 1 year, and they're getting their passports taken away so they can't leave. And then they're being given 48 hours of training, and then they're being sent to the front lines, and a lot of them are being killed on those front lines because they are, first of all, in a highly exposed place, and also a lot of them don't have any training. And even the ones who thought they were coming to be medics, hey, guess what? Before you be a medic, you have to go up here in the front lines with a gun and fight. So there is a lot, and then people, they're being upfront about it. And so people are backing out and say, well, I don't want to commit a year. I don't want to have to be a fighter. I want it to be a medic. And, they're saying, yeah, okay, well, if you don't want to do this, then goodbye. But still, it wasn't something people were expecting, a lot of them, when they arrived. So anyway, that's one thing. The other thing to know, I think I told you that all the TAs are pretty much involved in this right now, including some TAs that aren't from our world. My twin, Trevelyan, was just, and Sumara doesn't even know this yet, was just recently reassigned to Russia. So he's actually not in Ukraine anymore. Now he's in Russia every day. And the reason for that is that, surprisingly, even though all these sanctions have been put on Russia, with the concept of putting pressure on the government and the people's lives being so disrupted that they will also put pressure on the government. And it is happening to some degree. There are some Russian people who work in the government that are being affected, are very not supportive of the war, and are trying to get it to stop. There are people in the population doing the same thing. Unfortunately, the majority of the population, over 50%, is actually very, very supportive of the war. And surprisingly, and this is very surprising to me, they actually just did a poll in Russia where they ran, and it was a legitimate poll where they called 1,800 people at random. Just, here's a phone number, give it a call, and asked them questions. And one of the questions was, would you support Russia using nuclear weapons in this special military effort in Ukraine? Or would you, if it involved NATO countries, would you be okay with Russia using nuclear weapons against NATO countries? 62% of the respondents said they would be okay with Russia using nuclear weapons either in Ukraine or against European countries. That was pretty startling. So anyway, those are the type of things we're up against.
Wow. Yeah, let's talk about how guardian angels pick us. Well, no, you were starting to write it. You said you needed it.
Oh,
it's
too long of a meeting already.
No.
Okay, so Skye wants me to talk about something that Dante asked about a while ago, is how do guardian angels pick us? So there's a couple things to know about guardian angels. First of all, each guardian angel literally has millions of charges. So it's not just our world, there's other worlds. And we like to think about our guardian angel, that's our guardian angel just for us. And it will probably seem like that your whole life, because that's when the guardian angel energy is with you, it is just seems like it's just for you. But in reality, the guardian angels have millions of people that they are guardian angels for, even though there's millions of guardian angels. But how they pick you is not really that they pick you. It's the same as when we pass from this life and we're drawn to the resonance in the next life that is our resonance of our soul. And it's the same for guardian angels. They are drawn to us because our resonance is like their resonance. So guardian angels are just like people. We have different personalities. We have different knowledge bases. And we have different experiences, but when you find someone that you resonate with, they may be completely different than you in many aspects, but there's an energy resonance that's very powerful that just makes talking with that person, you can just talk forever with them. It's just like, wow, you've known this person forever, even though you just met him 5 minutes ago. And it's like that with the guardian angels. They're drawn to the people that they have an extremely strong resonance with. So, for instance, my dear friend Philos is someone I have a great. When I first started to channel, and I channeled originally, like 270 some beings, but the only one that was actually easy to channel, the easiest was Philos, because we had the greatest harmony together, the greatest resonance together. And so channeling Philos was like talking to my very best friend, which he is. And so it's the same with guardian angels, is they have that resonance with us that in the premortal life, we're already drawn together in the premortal existence. So when we come to this earth, we already have a guardian angel or two that some people have, and most children of light have two. Now, when I say that though, if you're a child, even though you may actually have two guardian angels, normally a child will just have one that will deal with them until they get to be at least a teenager, and then the second one will also start joining in. But they both have that same kind of resonance with each other, the person and their guardian angels. So I hope that explained that a little bit.
Yeah, it does. Thank you for that.
And Zandy, that would be something for you as well. Is have I given you your guardian angels, Zandy? I don't think I have. All right, so let me write a note to myself. Is there anybody else who I haven't given their guardian angels to that's in this group right now? If you are, let me know. Tom, and anybody else? Is it Jeanette? I didn't give it. Okay. All right. So I will send you guys all your guardian angels. And Zandy, that would be the best angel to call upon. Your guardian angel doesn't just guard you and protect, help you not get hurt. Your guardian angel helps you in your life if you have a relationship with them. And so when you are talking with your guardian angel, when you call in your guardian angel, and I'll send you something that explains how to do that very exactly when I send you your guardian angels. But you want to talk to them as a friend. You don't pray to them. You just talk to them. This is your best friend. They're there to help you. So if you have an issue that needs help, your guardian angel is like, wow, the first angel you should talk to, even more than a stewardship angel, because the angels know each other better than we know them. So your guardian angel is your best friend. And if there's other stewardship angels that could help you, if you're talking to your guardian angel, that guardian angel will then be able to go and give extra motivation to those stewardship angels to help you out. So definitely I'll send you three, all your guardian angels. I'll do that today. And
Brother Ambrosewyn, send me one too. Send me mine also.
I've always used Isabella for whatever reason since I was a little one. I always call my guardian angel Isabella.
So you already know.
But I would be very appreciative if you send me the names.
All right, I will send you names and an explanation of how to have a relationship with them that's actually going to be beneficial to you in your life.
And I'd just like to share, whether you have a name or not, you do have your guardian angels. So if you start daily saying greetings, I love you, hello, good morning, first thing in the morning, start talking to them, say thank you for being with me, I love you, I'm so appreciative of you. And then as you get to know them more, you'll start perhaps getting little messages in your head, telepathically. Perhaps you'll get little knowings that that they're around. There's so many different ways we all interact. so differently with our guardian angels. But like I'll sometimes be driving to work and I'll be grumbling to them and complaining about, I'm not happy about this and I'm not sure what to do about it. And I don't know if you really have an answer, but I just have to tell you my problem. You know, just talk to them like you would a friend that you wanted to unload on. And the more you connect with them every day, the stronger the connection gets. And that is so important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So brother,
So I've been calling him the wrong name all this time.
yeah, so brother Embrosewyn, you sent me the names, but I've been calling them the wrong names. So I just want to call them the Celestine names. So just want to get that connection properly.
Okay. All right. Then we'll take care of that.
Sure.
I got it on totally another subject. While Skye was talking, I looked over at her pen. I got to show you her fancy pen that she has here.
Awesome.
It's my special pen to write about the meetings.
All right, brothers and sisters, can we say namaste and I love you. I am so grateful for you to take your time to come and be at these meetings on Sunday. It means an awful lot to me. I hope that you get a lot of growth and light out of it. It helps you for your whole week, because it certainly helps me for my whole week to be able to see you and talk to you. Namaste. Until we meet again.
All right, namaste.
Namaste. I love y'all. Thank
Love
you.
you.
Love you all too.